My husband and I have been together for 3 years. He has 3 kids from his previous relationship and I have 1. She's the oldest, nearly adult. He's a dedicated man, puts God first and loves everyone. My husband always complains that my daughter doesn't spend time with her step-siblings or him, but she has reasons for that: school, health issues and work. She does her best to spend as much time with them as possible, but she, on the other hand, complains that her stepdad tells her to take on the role of a babysitter whenever she's with her step-siblings. My husband denied that and said that my daughter was making up excuses not to have to spend time with his kids. For this issue, I figured that a family trip is what the family needs to get together and spend more time around each other. My husband liked the idea but said that his kids are now uncomfortable around my daughter because of her attitude, and suggested we let her stay home and have the house all to herself, since that's what she's always wanted. I told him we should all go. He kept complaining till I snapped and told him to stop. I booked, paid for the whole family. However, my daughter told me she couldn't find her passport. We turned the house upside down, looking for it, but couldn't find it. My husband said maybe it was a sign from God that we should let her stay home so the trip wouldn't become a disaster. I ignored his comment, but later, while I was cleaning his office, I found the passport tucked away in the 3rd drawer under a ton of papers. This floored me. I confronted him with it, and he swore he had no idea why or how the passport got there. I checked the upstairs camera and saw him enter my daughter's room. That was it for me. I screamed at him and then cancelled the trip completely. He started arguing, saying I overreacted, that he didn't want his kids to be miserable on the trip, and that he was willing to apologize to my daughter if and when I reconsidered my decision regarding the cancellation of the trip because my stepkids will be devastated. But I said it was final and that it was done. He became cold and distant and said that he wanted to take some time to do some fasting and get guidance from God about how he should deal with the disrespect and control I had displayed lately. Am I the idiot for cancelling it altogether? Not the idiot. He can't use your daughter as free childcare for his children, so he intentionally alienates her from his family. And yes, I said his family because it's very apparent he does not consider your family his family. Your husband wants to control you, what you do and what you want. Your husband wants to control your daughter, what she should be spending her time on, and force her to do things she cannot do. When he cannot easily do that, he uses manipulation and lying in order to accomplish it. He turns it around on you when he's held responsible for his actions. When that doesn't work, he throws a temper tantrum. He didn't marry you because he wanted a wife and stepdaughter. He was looking for 2 females to boss around and do his bidding. In God's name, amen. A man of God? You need to stop calling him that. It's blatantly untrue and you need to open your eyes to his actions versus his words. He's a lying, abusive, sneaky, manipulative idiot, trying to push out your daughter for himself and his kids. Your stepkid should be blaming him for his disgusting actions, trying to ostracize their stepsister. Without the camera, he might have succeeded. Do you want to be with someone that you can't trust? This man is using religion to walk all over you and especially your daughter. He's attempting to exclude her because she asserted herself and refused to take on her womanly duty of providing free childcare so that he doesn't have to parent his own kids. OP, please save that video footage and get all the proof you can. And if your home cameras happen to capture him lying about it, save that too. If this goes to divorce court, you'll need all the proof you can get. You are the idiot, but only because you let this man treat you and your daughter poorly. Book a trip for just you and your daughter. I, female 29, have a phobia of horses. I put phobia in quotation marks because phobias are irrational fears, and I don't think my fear is irrational, but everyone else in my life keeps calling it a phobia. I do like animals, but horses are just not it for me. I don't like being around them and have no interest in petting them or riding them. When I was a little kid, a horse attacked me unprovoked and nearly killed me, and I was hospitalized. My best friend Eliza, female 29, is the opposite of me. When we were in high school, she was your stereotypical horse girl. She owns some horses of her own now and is still obsessed with horses. I don't interact with Eliza's horses and never have. However, I respect that we can have our interests, and Eliza and I have different things to talk about. I have a daughter, Tanya, toddler, and Eliza occasionally kindly volunteers to babysit for me. Eliza has her daughter of similar age and they play together nicely. Last week I asked Eliza to babysit for me so my partner and I could go to my cousin's child-free wedding, and she agreed. So I paid Eliza to babysit and gave her some extra money to get herself and the girls takeout. Well, after I picked Tanya up and was driving home, Tanya told me about how she sat on a horsey. At first I thought Tanya was talking about a toy rocking horse, but then she told me how she fed the horsey some apples. When I got home, I called Eliza and asked if she had had my daughter interact with her horses. At first, Eliza denied everything and said she didn't know what I was talking about. Still, when I said Tanya told me about it, Eliza admitted she held Tanya while she was sitting on one of her horses and let Tanya help feed one of her horses. Eliza went on and on about how safe it was and that she was in complete control of the situation. The horse stood completely still when she held Tanya on the horse's back. I told Eliza that what she did was irresponsible and that doing it behind my back was unacceptable. I was so angry and uncomfortable. She said I was overreacting because of my phobia and that Tanya was completely safe, and went on about how well trained her horses are and how she knows so much about horses. I said I didn't care and should think about what she did. My family thinks I overreacted, that I should apologize to Eliza, and that I'm projecting my phobia onto my daughter. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Projecting your phobia onto your child is one of the worst things you can do for your child. Working on your mental health to get to that point needs to be a priority. Banning your daughter from horses isn't helping anyone. Her learning how to be around them safely is beneficial. Agree, you are the idiot. Yes, a horse can kill a person. So can a dog. So can a lot of animals. Holding a child while they sit on a horse and letting them feed and pet a horse with supervision, especially the supervision of a lifelong horse expert that owns and knows the horse, your daughter should be able to have experiences regardless of your irrational fears. Not the idiot. She took your child to an activity without discussing it with you first. That is the main issue here. In addition to that, she lied about it. There's a level of trust that was broken here, and it's being blamed on OP's phobia. She lied to you about what she did with your child. She broke your trust and didn't see the issue with her actions. Try to think about what's best for your daughter. Not that she has to love horses and be around them all the time, but that she'd be okay to be around a horse or take an occasional pony ride. I'm so sorry for what happened to you, but please don't pass that fear on to your kiddo. My female teen bedroom has a lock on the door. One of the conditions of getting the lock put on my door was that I must have 2 keys and keep one with my dad and his wife Sandra, so I could have a key, but they also needed access to one in the house. I wanted the lock in the first place because Sandra's kids and she and my dad's kids were always wandering in and out of my room, letting their 2 cats in, and my room would often have cat pee in it, or my stuff would be all over the place. Monday, I got home from school late because I stopped by my part-time job beforehand. When I got back, Sandra's kids were sad, crying, or mad. Sandra yelled for me to see her in the kitchen, and my dad was on the phone with her. While I wasn't home, Sandra let her kids into my room, rummaging through my stuff until they found the scrapbooks I make. It's a hobby and I have loads of them. A lot are either me and my friends or they're my family. None include Sandra, her kids, or her and my dad's kids. Lately they haven't featured my dad either, just my mom who died when I was 7, my siblings who are both over 18 and don't live with us anymore, and my extended family. They got their feelings hurt because they saw how many I had and that none of them had a single photo in any of the scrapbooks. They also weren't mentioned in any notes. Sandra and my dad were telling me how badly I treated them and how I should be ashamed of myself for doing that kind of stuff. I said they should never have been in my room in the first place. Sandra replied that kids often want to be in older siblings' rooms. I made a face that she realized was me thinking they were not really my siblings. She told me I broke their hearts and hers because they have tried everything to be my family and they've taken me into their hearts, and I've shown clearly with those scrapbooks that I have not taken them into mine. She told me that that should make me feel bad, so I told them, Dad and Sandra, that they deserved to have their feelings hurt when they snooped, and her worst of all because she knew what her kids wanted to do and she unlocked the door for them to do it. Sandra sent me straight to my room. She and Dad both yelled at me and called me a heartless brat for saying that. Dad told me the kids did nothing wrong. I said he should blame Sandra for opening the door for them to snoop in the first place. He said my feelings were wrong and it's all my fault they feel hurt. Sandra told me nobody should say someone deserves to have their feelings hurt. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You have a lock on your door to keep your belongings safe and your privacy. Sandra abused your trust by allowing her kids to enter your room without your permission. None of them had the right to be there in the first place, and that door was not unlocked for any other reason other than Sandra telling her kids to snoop and find out what was going on in there and report back to her. The sooner you get away from them, the better. Too bad you can't move in with one of your older siblings. You never let us into your heart. Well, I figured you'd let yourself in like you let yourself into my room. Not my fault if you don't like what you see when you get there. It's like reading someone's diary and complaining that they didn't write about how much they love you. Sandra and OP's father aren't doing those kids any favors. What's the point of having a lock on the door if they just let themselves in whenever they want? They need to start respecting your privacy and give you your own space. You didn't do anything to hurt them, you just did nice things for other people, and there's nothing wrong with that. The way they acted proves why they're not in the scrapbooks. Sandra violated your privacy and your respect by letting not just herself but her kids into your room to play with your stuff. If they'd broken something valuable or expensive, would they be replacing it? If they hurt themselves with your items, will they be blaming you? This is an entirely toxic situation. I'm so sorry, hun. 2 more years and you can leave them all behind. X and I were never married, but we share 2 sons, Cole tween and Mika pre-tween. 3 years ago he met his wife Janessa, and 18 months ago they started living together with her kids, who are under the age of 10. The boys struggled with their dad being serious with someone, and I hated that for them, so I put them both into therapy. My ex wasn't thrilled. His biggest complaint was therapy wasn't something he believed in, but our court order states either of us can put the kids in therapy as long as the parent who makes the choice pays, provides access to the therapist to the other parent, and doesn't interfere with the other parent's schedule. I take the boys on my time, so it was never an issue. Once they moved in together, the boys started to dislike things, and it only worsened when my ex and Janessa married. They felt like Janessa was trying to take over as their mom, which they didn't like. There was pressure put on them to call her mom and her kids brother and sister. I don't know everything. The boys prefer to keep certain things between them and their therapists. Still, after a while, the 2 therapists raised concern about the environment at my ex's house and had no cooperation from him when they both tried to speak to him. It was agreed I should try to amend the parenting time he gets. The judge decided he should go from 50-50 to every other weekend and a dinner every other Wednesday. X was not happy. He argued that he could provide them with a 2-parent home. The judge said they were engaging in parental alienation by attempting to force the title of mom on his wife. He also told my ex that he should have cared more about his son's well-being and engaged with their therapists. X and Janessa are unhappy with the new schedule, and they both attempted to complain to me that it was disruptive to their household to have the boys so little and to have more money taken out of their household. I do my best not to engage. Janessa is pregnant now, and they wanted to have the boys the weeks leading up to the birth, so they would be present when she has the baby. I said no. I told them it was not in the best interest of the boys, so they decided to bring it up around Janessa's daughter during a moment where the boys weren't present, how it impacted their household and how much of a strain it was on them. I told them I didn't care about their household. I care about my sons and their best interest. The child heard. My ex and Janessa called me an idiot for saying that in front of her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your ex and his new wife sound like hard work. Why would she demand they call her mom is anyone's guess. Control thing, I imagine. I hope you and your boys are okay. You should keep on doing what is best for your kids. They're the ones that brought it up in front of their child. If they thought they could get you to agree to what they wanted because her child was present, well, that backfired on them, didn't it? Good for you for taking steps to ensure the best for your kids. I hope your kids adjust with therapy and more time away from your ex. Perhaps I am a bit too jaded, but I'm immediately suspicious. What does she really want your kids around for? Because to see the birth of their half-sibling doesn't ring genuine to me. Have your kids ever complained about being made to do more chores than is fair for kids of their age? Or being made to entertain or watch their step-siblings? I was about to mention this. She already has children. She knows damn well a newborn is hard, but a newborn with single-digit kids around is harder. I was surprised to hear they wanted 2 extra children to take care of it until it clicked that those 2 children would probably be taking care of something to make her life easier, like watching the other 2 children. When I, male 40, was 30 and my girlfriend Magdalena was 24, she was hit by a car and passed away. She had moved across the country to be with me after she finished university. It's been 10 years and my head is still not okay. She was hospitalized for a long time, long enough for her parents to come and forbid me from going to the hospital to be with her. When she passed away, they took her back to their country and told me not to come to the funeral. They said that they would have me removed. I respected their wishes. I had to find out where her grave was from one of her old roommates. I only went to see it once because her mom was there with her little brother when I went. She lost it on me. It was my fault that she was in a city far from her family, and it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't dragged her to California. Her little brother told me he hated me as only a young child could. So I left and never went back. I was broken for a long time. I eventually met my wife and we've been married for almost a year now. I was working for a company when Magdalena died. I was the beneficiary of her life insurance. I was having trouble concentrating, so I took a leave of absence. After a couple of months of grieving, I resigned from my job and used the insurance money to fund my own little startup. I'm not Oprah rich, but I do okay. Magdalena's little brother was recently accepted to an Ivy League school. I know this because he and his parents all reached out to see if I would give them the insurance money to help with his tuition. These are people who I thought would be in my life forever, and they abandoned me at the lowest point in my life. I had friends, but I had no other family. They didn't just abandon me, they made it worse. Now they need my help. They say if I don't give them the money, they will have to take out a mortgage on their house to pay for his education. They said I was in the wrong to keep the money and that it should have gone to them initially. I loved these people once, but they destroyed me. The money they want is negligible to me. I could give it to them without in any way compromising my lifestyle. I want to brag about how little it will affect me, but I feel petty. It's just not much to me, but it is life-changing to them. My wife says it's my choice. I want to punish them for how they treated me, but I know Magdalena would want me to help her family. Am I the idiot if I don't give them the money? Not the idiot. Magdalena would also have wanted you at the hospital and funeral. She would have also wanted her family to support you as well as you support them, but that didn't happen. They were extremely cruel to you. What happened to her was not your fault at all. If they have to take out a second mortgage, that's their problem. Another case of they reap what they sow. It's been 10 years and they're just now asking. They could have been saving for 10 years and left you alone. If they cared about you as opposed to the money, they wouldn't have barred you from the funeral and cut you off completely until you had something they wanted. There's a reason that you, rather than her family, were the beneficiary of her life insurance. She loved you and wanted you to have it.